I'm really pleased to be here. I have been doing a number of talks for 52 Living Ideas, and this is taking it to the next level with the subject of being a hero. It's something that I've studied for a long time, that I've been fascinated by, and I want to have some fun with you all tonight to get your feedback, to try some experiments. I want it to be interactive. I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes, and then I'd like us all to participate. And it's always fun I'm sitting in my home in Palos Verdes in Southern California, and just to be able to share with a great group internationally about these topics, it's really neat. It's really exciting. So thank you for being here. I'm going to start with my presentation. JP, thank you for letting people in. Do you guys see this okay? You see the screen, right? So this is a HeroNet training. My company, HeroNet, is an organization that's helping to create heroes. It's a specific kind of heroes. It's heroes who are helping themselves, their families, their friends, other people, and other species. So tonight I'm going to ask you, invite you, challenge you to be a hero who's helping yourself, your family, your friends, other people, and other species. So that's what this training is about. What are the reasons it is valuable to be this type of hero? So I want to talk a little bit about the hero archetype. And the idea of archetypes is very fascinating. An archetype is a character or a symbol or an image or a pattern that repeats over and over again throughout history in our stories, our fairy tales, and myths. There's the hero. There is a mentor or guide. That's a type of archetype. Uh, an opponent or an adversary, going on a quest or a journey. Those are archetypes. They appear over and over again. Uh, Having a funny sidekick or a helpful animal, or going up into the mountains to receive knowledge, or going into a cave or dungeon to confront a demon or a dragon or a monster. Uh, Again, those are archetypes. They appear over and over again. There's a treasure at the end of the pathway. And I really learned about archetypes from the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, who had an enormous influence on me and played an important role in my own psychological health and has had an enormous influence on our culture. And if you're new to Jung, or you'd like to get a great sort of overview of Jung's theories, I would highly recommend his book, Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. It's a great sort of starter book. He was very prolific. There is a lot of work out there. I looked at a lot of works. I've studied him for 30 years. I've given many talks. This is a good starting point for him. Is Jung perfect? Of course not. Is he the only person who sort of shaped my worldview? No. But he was very, very important and influential to me. So we mentioned the hero archetype. So why does the idea of a hero, the character of a hero, appear over and over again throughout history? Well, it's because your psyche wants you to be a hero. Now, this is a rather remarkable statement. And more specifically, to give itself psychological order, your psyche wants you to be a hero. The world's very chaotic. It's very overwhelming. Psychologically, we have to figure out, who am I? What's going on? What am I supposed to be doing? So throughout our lives, we constantly hear and see hero stories, around the campfire or in a forest. Or think about our current culture. We are bombarded by hero stories in movies, television, games, plays. Uh, we can't go outside without seeing a movie poster featuring a hero. So hero stories are constantly around us. So a community, a collective, a culture believes hero stories are valuable. They teach us something. They teach us how to live in the right way or how to be courageous or what should we be. So it makes sense. Your psyche learns and knows after hearing these stories constantly that if you are a hero, it increases your chances of survival and expands your loving of being alive. And what happens is your psyche becomes attracted to role model heroes and hero stories. This has been happening for centuries. And so it's very deeply embedded in our conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. And that's why it's become archetypal. So for your psychological health, you should be a hero. That's how we're wired. And not being a hero creates a psychological disruption. Now, I've said, let's be a hero who's helping yourself, your family, your friends, other people, and other species. Why am I defining this type of hero? So what I did is I looked up different definitions of a hero. And I won't read all of this, but literally the word origin of hero, and to me, hero is a very gender neutral term now. I know in the past it's skewed masculine, but to me, it's a very gender neutral term. But it said a man of superhuman strength or physical courage, a demigod, an illustrious man, a defender, a protector, to protect. So these are sort of the textbook definitions of a hero, probably a pre-Greek word, which means the idea of a hero goes back in time, far away, because it's an archetype. I'll give you some more definitions. A hero is someone who risks or sacrifices their life to help an individual, a family, a community, a people, a nation, humanity. No one would really debate this. Someone's risked their lives, the firefighter that risked their lives, the military person who sacrificed their lives. Um, we think of heroes and we hear so many news stories about someone who's risked or sacrificed their life. But there's many other definitions of heroes. A hero is a main character of a story. If you're a Hollywood producer and you sit down with a writer, like, well, tell me the hero of your story. And this could be anyone in any place. It doesn't necessarily mean you risk or sacrifice your life. A hero could be anyone as long as they're the main character of a story. It's popular now to consider yourself you are a hero of your own story. That's very popular and that's very powerful. I'll give you a few more. Carl Jung, the hero's main feat is to overcome the monster of darkness. It is the long hoped for and expected triumph of consciousness over the unconscious. So the hero is taking an inner journey. Marie-Louise von France, his greatest disciple, or the hero figure is one of those eternal archetypal images which slumber in the depths of every soul and which determine human life and destiny in unsuspected measure. Again, the hero is taking an inner journey. And of course, Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, a hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man. The classic hero's journey. The poet Maya Angelou, I think a hero is any person really intent on making this a better place for all people. The co-creator of Marvel Comics, Stan Lee. Another definition of a hero is someone who's concerned about other people's well-being and will go out of his or her way to help them, even if there's no chance of a reward. That person who helps others simply because it should or must be done, and because it is the right thing to do, and is indeed, without a doubt, a real superhero. The activist Martha Beck. Tell yourself a life story in which you, the hero, are primarily a problem solver rather than a helpless victim. The writer Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Entrepreneurs are heroes in our society. They fail for the rest of us. Few more. Lorna Johnson's a blogger who says, my parents are my role models, my heroes. Arthur Ashe, the athlete. True heroism is remarkably sober, very undramatic. It's not the urge to surpass others at whatever cost, but the urge to serve others at whatever cost. Jessie House is a young girl whose sorority sister donated a kidney to save her life. She is forever my hero and the type of person I aspire to become. She is saving my life, and I am forever grateful. Helen Hayes, the actress. We relish news of our heroes, forgetting that we are extraordinary to somebody too. And I'll end the quotes with J.R.R. Tolkien. I found that is the small everyday deed of ordinary folks that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. That's from The Hobbit. And he really expanded on this in Lord of the Rings. And I was very surprised to discover this. This is in a letter he wrote after The Lord of the Rings was published. I think the simple rustic love of Sam and his Rosie, nowhere elaborated, is absolutely essential to the study of the chief hero's character, and to the theme of the relation of ordinary life, breathing, eating, working, begetting, and quest, sacrifice, causes, and the longing for elves and sheer beauty. So out of this very famous epic work, Lord of the Rings, who did Tolkien consider the chief hero? A lot of people would think, oh, it was Frodo or Aragorn, or there was, all the wizards. It was Sam. It was Sam. And you think about it, if it wasn't for him, he couldn't have carried Frodo up, got the ring in Mount Doom. At the end of the whole tale, Sam got the girl, lived happily ever after, had the book. And so it's really remarkable that Tolkien's saying it's the small acts of kindness that really define a hero. So what I did with all these definitions is I tried to distill to the essence what the hero was with all these definitions. And I came up with a hero is helping themselves, their families, their friends, other people in other species. They're doing one of these or all of these. Everything a hero does is helping in some way. And that's why I shaped it. What would be the ultimate hero, the superhero? Although I don't really like using that phrase, but who would be the ultimate hero? It would be a hero who incorporated all those definitions. To be a hero who's helping yourself, your family, your friends, other people, and other species. And so what I want to do is talk about, so how can you be this type of hero? Well, there's some resistance to aspects of what I'm talking about. So I've noticed in my talks when I mentioned being a hero, there's still some resistance to, well, that still sounds inflated or pompous. I'm not really a hero. I don't want to consider myself to be a hero. And what I've tried to show with the hero archetype is no, it's very healthy to consider yourself to be a hero. You don't have to be an inflated, no, I'm here to save the world hero, but there's some balance you can find to say, no, I am a hero. And some people will say, well, but I didn't risk or sacrifice my life. Those are types of heroes. Those are role model heroes, but that doesn't mean you can't be a hero. So to be a hero who's helping yourself, there's some resistance to that. Well, are you saying I should be selfish or is that greedy, helping myself? Think of the whole self-help movement. Think of what Jung and Joseph Campbell was saying. Most of being a hero is helping yourself, confronting your own demons, confronting your fear. A lot of people rather step in front of a bullet than confronting something they need to change. And so I think this is most of where the hero work is in helping yourself. When it comes to helping your family and friends, people are great about that. People are so heroic when it comes to helping their kids or their elderly parents or their families. That's where I think people shine the most as being a hero. When it comes to helping other people, it's sort of a mixed bag. Like post-COVID, with all the social media, with all the bombardment of negative news stories that we all hate each other, I think there's a tangible resistance to help other people. I mean, people do help other people, but there's an unease about that right now in our culture. And then when it comes to helping other species, again, that's very mixed. There are some people doing heroic things to help other species, and we're still really trashing a lot of species as well. But this to me is let's help you be this type of hero. And the first step is to imagine you are this type of hero and act like this type of hero. So I want to challenge everyone to just try to be this type of hero for a week. Just try it for a week. Is it uncomfortable? Do you like it? When I do it, it makes me feel energized and empowered. I really feel like I'm tapping into that psychic energy. I feel really good about I'm here to help people on all different levels. It helps me feel grounded and centered and aligned. Uh, it motivates me to be even more helpful because I'm conscious of helping people and I want to do it even more. And this validates and uplifts me as well. So it's a lot of positive feedback in my life. And I appreciate others who are being more helpful. If I'm being helpful, I notice people who are being helpful as well. And I feel connection and hope to them. And it really helps me get through tough times. Really, it's the hero's journey. You're always going through adversity. So knowing I can help myself or help other people gets me through tough times. And that gives my life greater meaning and purpose. And finally, like I said, it helps give me psychological help because I feel in alignment with that hero energy that the hero archetype educates us about. So I'm just going to wrap up and again invite, ask, challenge you to be a hero who's helping yourself, your family, your friends, other people, and other species. So I'd love to get your feedback on the talk and then just talk to you and go, would you be willing to do this experience? What would be the resistant? How do we do that? So I thank you so much for listening. So anyone want to chime in? Anything on your mind? What do you think? JP.
Thank you. And I'm enjoying that you had gone to so many different types of personalities. Of course, Jung, Joseph Campbell, but then Maya Angelou's several names I was not even aware of, but they all get the same idea. The hero, being the hero, even momentary, is important. I'm not sure where in my writing studies I picked this up. They do follow the Joseph Campbell model of the 17 steps of a hero's journey. But one of them had said, every time you write about a character, the story is about the hero, of course, and somebody steps forward, as you said, as a mentor or as an adversary, or maybe they're the gate guardian, but in their own mind, the person who's playing the gate guardian, they're a hero for that moment for themselves. I need to step forward and stop them in this time of going forward just to make sure they know they're ready. Or the mentor steps forward. You need to know this information. Or the person who brings the armaments, you need to have the sword and the shield. And for the moment, they feel like they're the hero. But in somebody else's story, they're the mentor, they're the gate guardian. So I wanted to share that.
Love that. That's great. Any other thoughts about the talk? Don't be shy because I'm going to be asking you guys specific questions. So, anyone else, just jump in. What did you like about the talk? What was valuable? You couldn't wait to leave. You got to be a heroic group. All right. So, JP, while I have you here, so this idea of being a hero, considering yourself to be a hero, does that resonate with you? Are you comfortable with that? Hearing about how psychologically it's healthy, how there's many definitions. How does that land with you of you considering yourself a hero in your own life and story?
Yes, it works. I look at everybody as being the hero of their journey. And for me, I'm not going to always recognize that. I have that brain that comes with all the problems with it that makes me feel deficient. But every time I even get past that small thought that holds me back, I still feel like I've made some kind of heroic leap.
I love that. So just to reframe that, so you're comfortable considering yourself to be a hero. Again, we're saying it's not the inflated superhero, basically, or you have to risk your life or do something crazy. Um, and when you feel resistant of maybe not feeling heroic or less than, you're allowing yourself, you're helping yourself to go, no, I can be a hero in my own journey. I can do heroic things. So you're consciously lifting yourself back up, which I think is fantastic. Would that be accurate? Excellent. And now since it's a training, so if I'm saying, okay, now you consider yourself a hero, and when I say who's helping herself, so you just gave an example of how you're helping yourself, right? You're lifting yourself. So check that box. Um, do you feel to expand that of helping your family and friends? Can you consciously, you're probably everyone's doing it subconsciously anyway. So it's rising to consciousness like, hey, I can help myself and I'm consciously helping my family and friends. Does that make you feel comfortable? You can sort of add that to your heroic mix.
Yes, and as you're saying, it doesn't have to be some world-changing event. I don't have to be stepping out and starting some kind of peace movement or even stepping forward to win a war. It can be that small disagreement I have with somebody, and I realize I'm either able to help them understand something or they help me understand something. It can be just stopping at the right time and not even forcing myself forward just to listen. And if I'm listening, it helps them learn to listen. And if they're listening to me, I'm like, wow, oh, hopefully I can listen as great as they do. So it is to me shared.
You're great, JP. I'm going to keep going on with you because you're making me super happy. So that feeds into what I was so struck by the Tolkien quote of Sam being like the chief hero. It was, he was surrounded by all these glorious lords and ladies and kings and queens. But at the end of the day, it was just quietly getting the job done in the little ways that made him a hero. And that's what you're saying. You don't have, it doesn't have to be life, it doesn't have to be globally altering. It's the day-to-day acts of kindness, as Tolkien said. So we have, so I'm going out in concentric circles. So we've established you're comfortable being a hero, helping yourself, helping family and friends. And you mentioned it, other people, like through this lens, would this help motivate you to help more people if you were consciously doing it? Or is it more just a recognition of I naturally help people anyway, so I do that? Does this help you incorporate that a little more?
As you're here right now, I would love to hear from other people speaking
Or
because I know
I'm
other
almost done
people
with
ideas. But I
you.
do like the question. And I will say I agree with the whole idea of Sam because I like the idea that Sam, after he goes through this whole journey, thinking about getting back to Rosie, letting him know all these great experiences, the moment he steps into her tavern, he does nothing more than have a beer with his friends, stand up, go to her, and then dance with her. She has no idea of who he really has become, but he's able to show her in dance.
And the last piece, and I'll let you go. It's incorporating helping other species. It's, whether it's being kind to animals or helping to protect endangered species. What I'm trying to do with my training is every life form you see, you're consciously helping in some way. I think most people sort of do this, but the experiment I'd like you to do and others is for a week, just sort of consciously see that you're doing this. And I'd love to hear back. I felt uplifted. I felt energized. I felt more grounded. Or I sort of do it anyway. It didn't make a big deal. But would you be willing to just do that as an experiment?
I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here. One, I feel like the word hero is used too often, and some of the things that you're describing sound like common human decency or even friendship or love of family. And because we have those things, we tend to do more for those people in our circle. People who have a love of animals tend to volunteer at pet places or rescues or that type of thing. So I'm trying to understand what you're trying to evoke through your experiment because I feel like I still don't have a clear picture of that. And forgive me, I'm not trying to be a downer on this. I do want to understand where you're going with it. Are you trying to make heroism become more attainable for quote unquote Sam Ganges of the world or what? I'm just not following and I'm not sure what I'm missing. So if you could help with that, I'd appreciate it.
I love candor. I'm a husband and have a 7-year-old girl. I'm used to candor, so I appreciate that. So what I'm saying is that yes, I'm trying to make heroism a broader definition in people's lives. And that's why I started this talk with the hero archetype, because they're not good people's stories or kindness stories. They're hero stories. There's something to that word and that type of character. There's a power to it. There's a psychological power throughout the centuries around that word. And I'm with you. I sort of do all that stuff naturally because I like to consider myself a good person. But this talk is what is it about that word and that archetype itself? Is there something we can learn from it that helps our psychological health or gives us more energy? And so I think the hesitation people have, and you said it yourself, is, well, we think that word is overused. I think it might be overused in the wrong way. Like it's just, the superficial, the I have to be great in movies and save the world. That's not real. And I like how you reference, yeah, it's more of the Sam Ganji hero of the quiet hero doing the acts of conscious kindness. Now, I'm not saying you have to say you're a hero to do this. I'm just saying, as an experiment, I've given you different definitions to sit with and go, does that enhance your experience at all? If it doesn't, it doesn't. But there is something to that word that has a lot of power to it. So that's what I'm curious about. Does that help sort of like why I'm focusing on that word?
I think so. I think I'm having trouble with everyday kindness and human generosity being associated as heroic, but I could see for a receiver, it could come across that way. And it does feel good to help people or animals, that type of thing. So I think I understand where you're going, and I appreciate you indulging my question.
So I'm not going to let you go yet. So here's the experiment. The experiment is sit with, am I a hero? Do I like that word? Am I just not comfortable with that word? Just sit with it knowing there's different definitions. And you might just say, it just doesn't work for me. That's fine. So the experiment is sitting with that. And then if you don't choose to use the word hero, the next part of that is just focusing on all the different ways you can help. You can help yourself, your family, your friends, other people in other species. You probably, I can tell, do all of that anyway, but it's adding a level of consciousness to it. Like, I do this, or maybe, I do a great job helping my family. I don't help myself as much. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's just play with this definition of a hero to see if it gives you a little more enhancement in what you're doing. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes, thank you. And I like the phrase sitting with it because I think I will do that. Because I think that's where my questioning comes in is the word itself. And maybe I'm placing too much emphasis on that. And you're trying to place the emphasis on the activity and how it makes us feel, right?
Between you and JP, I could not be happier with this talk.
Okay, good. All right.
I want another great person talking to me now. We're on a roll. Who's next?
I was gonna come in. I think a hero is because you guys were talking about whether heroism is attainable. I think heroism really is something that's gonna I have a different definition. I'm gonna kindly and respectfully disagree. I think that heroism is kind of something that was going to split people. Like some people are going to be willing to do this courageous act, and some people are not. So some people would be like, I'd give a kidney for a family member, or I'd work in a supermarket during COVID, and some people are going to see that danger and walk the other way. So I think heroism might kind of split people. But I like your idea of thinking that, like that the superhero of the movies might not be something realistic for people to experience in their life.
So let me ask you about you, Katie. So do you consider yourself to be like a hero in your life?
Um, I once someone fell asleep on the freeway, and um I was faced with do I do something or not? And I remember I only entered in after some lady next to me was waving too at him. And then I was like, well, at least I can explain to a judge that I wasn't the only one that was thinking, I wasn't worried about anything that was going to get said, or I just, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't the only one estimating the situation the same way. So I don't think I would if I had, if he were anything more serious than that, I probably just would have called somebody else to make sure that someone that knew what they were doing. So I would help, but that was low danger to me of like, because I was safe in my car, I was, pretty far away from him. And then someone put a little Batman sticker on my car later. So, uh, so I think little acts, but like these extreme acts where you might, like my example of donating a kidney, that would come at expense to your own, lifespan. So I think that's gonna split people, where some people are gonna say, no, I'm not gonna help.
So again, going back to our experiment, there is a psychological health, power, energy with the characteristic of being a hero. That's not me making that up. That's me studying that, with an open mind. Okay, there's something to being a hero. So the experiment is, can I consider myself to be a hero? And I do, but it's a very managed image in my mind. It's not the superhero save the world. It's almost a very gentle, like I like the idea that I'm playing the role of a hero in my own life and I'm helping myself and my family and my friends and other people in other species. That gives me joy and meaning and purpose. And I feel that psychological lift. I feel it. And I think that has to do with like what the archetype is talking about. My psyche wants me to feel heroic. But I'll tell you, the minute it gets too inflated, it's almost I laugh at myself like, okay, relax. I don't run around saying I'm a hero. It's just a very quiet, I like what JP said, it's like Sam at the end of the day, he just dances. He's gone through this heroic journey. So I do consider myself a hero, but in a hopefully healthily managed way. Let me hear from some other people. Be a hero. Julie, what do you think of all this?
Connie had her hand up, so I didn't know if I didn't
Oh,
want to go
okay.
before her.
Sorry.
Julie, go ahead. I'll wait till after you.
Okay.
I love
Let's-
your background, by the way. It's
Thank
super
you.
cool.
Um, I kind of liked if out of the quotes that I heard, I mean, I could take any one of those quotes that you had in there, but I guess I do like that the top one by Sam. I think it was Sam. Just those small acts of kindness. That's kind of what I would say would be that's my kind of hero right there, if I were going to be one. As for experimenting, it's tough because you kind of feel like, well, if I say I'm a hero, is it kind of egotistic to say that? But then if you say it's healthy, that makes me feel better about doing it, about being that. So I feel like I'm already doing that, at least in terms of like helping small animals, because I can't help myself. I don't, all I get out of it is the fact that I gave them another chance at life. And that's the best that I can do. Because I found a mouse on a sticky trap and I just can't. I know that they're pests and everybody's like, why don't you just kill it? I can't do it. I can't do it. So, I've managed to save 3 out of 4 so far. And if that makes one little difference, then, I can do that. And I think small acts of kindness goes as far as, oh, excuse me, sir, you dropped your wallet, give it back to them. So many people would just take the money out of it and like throw it in the trash and walk away, so those little things can make us a hero. And if that's all I have to do with this experiment, then I can say I've already been doing it.
I love that. And that's why I have that as the last quote. Like for me, it was so powerful that our culture is really sort of kooky right now. So we're bombarded by inflated images of heroes, but 90% of us are doing the quiet acts like you're doing. And I find that's heroic. That's heroic to me. And again, it's not focusing just on a hero, it's how you're helping. So it's the whole package. I suspect that most people are heroes who are helping themselves, their families, that people are doing that already. But it really is psychologically healthy when you give a language, an expression to it. I think it's very lifting, like, yeah, I am doing this because you're already doing that. So the experiment is just labeling that you're doing that and see what that does.
Okay, I can do that.
God, I love this group. Who else? Oh,
Well,
Connie, sorry. Go for it.
yeah, I know we had talked about this before, and I did think about it for the week after when you had this session when you were kind of introducing it. I still have, I think everyone in their life somewhat has done a heroic act or can do small acts of kindness, but I still do not see that as being a hero because I think it's really going out of your way. So the initial definition is how I think of a hero. And if we have all just about everything that we do that's positive make us a hero, I don't see that it really has any meaning as special. And I think people that are heroes live bigger in some, and they can be a quiet hero, but they're doing and thinking more than just like doing everyday things that, oh, I can say I was a hero because I opened the door for someone when I was going in the grocery store. I just cannot look at that as a hero. I think it's just civilized and decent. So uh I think what I like that has changed my life with Carl Jung has been accept looking at our dark side or shadow side. I know that's off topic a little, but I find that that has changed my life more than me viewing myself as a hero, in that any situation I'm in where I feel any conflict or whatever, if I'm in a group and I am observing my own self and my own behavior and recognizing that as my shadow side and working on that, that has changed my life. So that's all.
Well, this talk is a spin-off from my talks on Carl Jung. And Joseph Campbell says that Carl Jung gave him the greatest clues about mythology. So that hero's journey, the famous hero's journey that Joseph Campbell's talking about, is exactly what you're talking about, Connie. It's that going inward, that confronting the demon. That is the ultimate hero's journey to me. So they're framing it as a hero's journey, and you're doing it as a hero's journey. But if you're not comfortable using the word hero, I'm fine with that. After I've given these talks, I'm thinking about it as I'm just more of a messenger. I got more interested in the hero archetype because a friend of mine said, I loved everything about your last talk. Can't I be a good guy who helps people? And I was talking to someone else going, throughout the ages, they're not stories about good guys, they're about heroes. I just thought I was sitting with that, like just neutrally. Like I'm not trying to defend you have to be a hero. That's why I say sit with it. I was sitting with it. Well, what is it about this word, this type of character that keeps getting passed along generation to generation? So that's what I'm saying. There's a psychological piece to it that I would encourage everyone to sit with, just sit with. And it comes across for a lot of people like, well, it's too egocentric. That might say a lot about that person. Like, well, will you allow yourself to be a hero? Like JP said, sometimes I catch myself, being down and it lifts myself up. So I throw that out there for consideration, not for you have to do it. I think the most important part is the helping part. And this idea of the experiment is just looking at all the different ways you can help. But the journey you're talking about, Connie, I personally think is the hardest one of them all. So I deeply admire that you're willing to go into that dark side of yourself and look at that. That is very hard for people.
Thank you.
Who have we not
David
heard from? Go
also had
ahead.
an exclamation point in the chat. I believe he might be next if you're ready for a new
Who?
commentator. Marco had an exclamation point in the
Oh,
chat.
please. Yes. Thanks. Thanks for your help.
I like the part of help like using it to help you get through tough times. Like I sort of imagine using it like if you're having like maybe like an anxiety attack or something, and just like telling yourself that I'm a hero for you know just just being present with the issue, whatever's with being vulnerable, like and I think it'll like help give you like a boost like in that like vulnerable moment.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Marco, because I feel like I rushed through that slide. Almost every story that they tell, like an entertainment, like the second act is what are the challenges? What are the problems? What does the hero have to overcome? Like that is drama. Like that is drama. It's not an interesting story unless you have to overcome something. And so what you're saying is really the key of being a hero is just getting up and going, wow, I have a limited lifespan. I'm on this spinning ball through space. I don't even know the dimension. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. And so, just to respond to Connie as I think about it, it's not so much just opening the door and overusing the word hero for simple acts like that. It's recognizing that just to get through the day for a lot of people, they are very scared. I get very scared. So what you're saying, Marco, is it helps me, one, not to feel like I'm alone, like there's other people on the hero's journey, but knowing that those are what hero stories are all about, is getting through a tough time. So I think what you're saying, Marco, is very important to emphasize. I'm glad you brought it up. Who have we not heard from? It's a good group. Mike, have we heard from you? Brian? JP, I know you have more good stuff.
Sure, I'll take it another direction. If anybody's had a chance to attend any of the 52 living ideas on Taoism or the Tao Te Ching, Tao Te Ching talks about the three jewels to live with: compassion, frugality, and humility. And a moment ago, the question was, well, what if I'm not stepping forth as a hero? What if I'm not really feeling that? I'm going to the store shopping. Even in the humble things we do, saving a mouse, not just once, but 3 out of 4 times, humble, showing the compassion. And the frugality is we never have to have so much. The hero doesn't have to go home with all the gold, earn half the kingdom, live extra years in their life, and have everybody go, hey, look who it is. Let's have another parade and party for the hero. They can sit back and be chilled in their small, humble home with the few things they really need in life, and show the compassion of anybody who comes forward and needs it. So I would share that.
So I went into this training not knowing what to expect. And here is what I won't say surprised. I didn't know what to expect. But I really feel like this group is understanding. For me, the main challenge when you bring up the topic of heroism is it has an image of that inflated superhero type. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy. And what I like about what the group's linking to is you can be a hero in a much more humble, day-to-day act of kindness way. And what's important about that is it's still tapping into that hero archetype, that psychology of being a hero. But right now, I think the psychology of being a hero in our culture is very inflated, is very toxic, and is very, it's not healthy. And so this discussion is giving me feedback that you're understanding, yeah, there's a different way to be a hero that's much more in alignment with psychological health and humility and day to day. Would that be fair sort of feedback I'm getting? I'll take it from the silence that it's universal. Yes. Um, anything else? I really enjoyed our time together. Any other comments? Hopefully you'll try. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
My question is, so here was somebody who helps, either kind of in a everyday kind of, well, you're saying everyday kind, or, so there might be a little, people might have different definitions, but what would be the opposite of a hero?
It's a great question. I think the opposite is someone who doesn't help. It's like for whatever reason, um, you have an addiction problem and you know you have to change your lifestyle. It will take a heroic act to quit whatever you're doing or go to a recovery program. But you choose not to do that. That to me is not being a hero. I don't want to use the word coward, that's a little harsh, but you know what I'm saying. It's when you have an opportunity to help, I think almost a consciousness, and you are refusing, that to me is not being a hero.
So for you, it doesn't have to be some necessarily helping someone else. It can also just be not making the effort for yourself.
I think that 90% of people being a hero is helping themselves. It terrifies. Jung said it himself. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own demon. And you can see that so clearly. We all have people in our lives who do that. And it's very hard for people to take that heroic step and say, I'm wrong or I need to change. So that to me, that's really the story of being a hero is that inner work that you need to do. So I will be doing this monthly. Again, I'd encourage everyone to try an experiment. To be a hero is helping yourself, your family, your friends, other people, and other species. I think most of you sort of do this already, but I want you to define it. I want you just to define for a week that I'm doing this. I'm a hero doing this. And if you, after a week, go, I like the helping part, I don't like the hero, or yeah, I'm a hero, wink, wink. That's fine. But that's the experiment. I'd love you to join us next month. And I really appreciated this session. So thank you so much. Any other comments, or we're going to go gently into that good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.